bit longer, just in case.
I don't know who the people that thought that that was a
I'm gonna go ahead and start us off. So, hello all. I'm gonna talk from here. I will say when it is time to have our discussion and comment, if you can come up to the podium to give your comments so that people at home can hear. Our June 22nd town hall meeting will not be live streamed and televised, so this is the only one that's gonna be recorded. So I want to make sure that the people watching from home can hear you loud and clear. So at the end, if you wouldn't mind coming up to the podium, and you will see me on my little tablet, and I will be taking copious notes to make sure that I'm capturing everyone's information and as far as what we're going to be discussing. So thank you all for joining us tonight and having this discussion about what you would like to see happen at the library. Very briefly, I'm going to say summer reading kicked off, and we hope you will stop by the library and get your summer reading card, and also come to some of our programs. We have Operation Support Local, where you can get a nice Sierra Madre tote bag. And our summer reading prizes, we have a baseball hat, we have a giant soup mug that I want, we have our earbuds, we have a tiny sloth and a t-shirt, and we have a suction cup catch game. I think that's it. So hope to see you at the library this summer. Now with that being said, the library has taken on many forms, and the expectations of a library have changed many times over the years. The current library building at 440 West Sierra Madre Boulevard is receiving some much needed updates and repairs, most notably infrastructure fortification to bring the building up to seismic and ADA standards. In addition to seismic and ADA improvements, we're getting a 5,000 square foot expansion off the south end of the building. The expansion will allow for a south entrance, so you will no longer have to walk around to the front of the building to enter the library. The south entrance will have stairs and an elevator, as well as a 100-person community meeting room that will be available for the public to use. We're also getting a dedicated teen room, which we do not currently have, that does have doors, so it can be closed off. We're getting dedicated archival space, which we currently do not have, and a dedicated Friends of the Library bookstore, as well as just additional space for staff and the public. With this new space, the library wants to take a moment to step back and reevaluate how we can best serve the Sierra Madre community. While this town hall has nothing much to do with the building itself, it will focus on how to utilize the building to best accommodate the needs of the community. So I'm going to start a little slideshow here in just a moment. We have a cue. There we go. You won't be able to see my face, but you will get to see the slideshow. So I want to briefly talk about the history of the Sierra Madre Public Library building and how we got to where we are now. The library has been a part of Sierra Madre almost from the beginning, since 1887, and the city itself was incorporated in 1907. So I did include pictures of the original building in this nice little timeline, so please have a look. And then we have in 1953, so that's the next one, our wonderful Friends of the Sierra Madre Public Library was formed, and in 1955 we had a new building for the library, the one we used through the end of 2023. And you can see it's been in the same location. It's just, this is the current building that sits at 440. But it doesn't quite look like that right now. So in 1967, the first attempt at a renovation and expansion was subsequently rejected. In 1972, the vacant lot behind the library was donated to the library and has yet to be utilized. In 1976, a second attempt at a new building was proposed and shelved. In 1981, the current building received a small expansion in the front. In 1985, another small expansion was added. In 1989, there was a third attempt at a new library building that was also dropped. And with the two small expansions, they were not connected to the HVAC, so both of those were literal expansions that did not connect to the HVAC, and we had to get an individual air conditioning unit for one of them. In 1994, the library was denied Construction Act funds, which would have allowed a renovation or expansion. In 1996, a fourth attempt at a modest expansion was never realized. In 2003, the city applied for another bond act for a new building, but it was unsuccessful. And in 2004, a ballot initiative for a new building never quite made it onto the ballot. And since in 2014, so this is a little bit wordy, so we'll try to get through it. From 2014 to 2018, the library focused on assessments and surveys to understand the needs for the community and to incorporate this into a strategic plan. In 2019, the Friends of the Sierra Madre Library had an architect firm design a new library building to meet the growing needs of the community. The idea was to have a ballot initiative, but this was all delayed and then dropped due to the pandemic. In 2022, the library received a $10 million targeted state grant to bring the aging 1955 building up to seismic and ADA codes, provide an expansion, and improved green space. In 2023, the library received an additional grant from the California State Library called the Building Forward Infrastructure Grant that was matched with federal ARPA funds and provided $669,210 in additional funds for asbestos abatement, fire suppression equipment, new windows, new HVAC, and ADA and seismic upgrades. I will state that the Building Forward Infrastructure Grant is very specific and can only be used on internal needs of the library. So it can't be used for anything external, even doors that lead to outside. In 2023, TSK Architects was contracted to design the renovation, and in 2024, Vertex Engineering was brought on board to manage construction. Since 1967, there have been 7 attempts for building renovations, a new building, and or to secure funds for either. All have been some degree of unsuccessful until now. So we have had 7 attempts at what we're accomplishing right now. So here is a look at our current floor plan, which is just under 9,000 square feet. You have to look at it a little bit interestingly, where you see that exit sign, that is Sierra Madre Boulevard. So the California room and the computer room are the 2 expansions that we got in the 80s. And then we have our reading room, our stacks area, and our children's room. So it's just at about 9,000 square feet and shows a very small but mighty library. So I might actually get up so I can show you. I found out there's a way for me to show you things. So here's where you would enter normally. The renovation includes a 5,000 square foot expansion, bringing the building up to almost 14,000 square feet. And with new space comes new responsibilities. So I'm going to highlight here where the expansion starts and what is considered the current library. I will say on the basement level, or what we call level 0 here on these plans, we do currently have a basement. It is not open to the public and it is not being utilized quite in this way. It is where the Friends of the Library does some of their sorting, and thank you. Hopefully that works better. It's where the Friends of the Library do a lot of their sorting, and it's also where we use storage. So everything right around here is all new, and on level 0 it's here. So this is where the current parking area is. So this will take over that parking area. We've got that there. And it does include our meeting room and where the archives are now, and where our IT room will go. That's actually like our boiler room. So, oh.
Where are the mountains?
The mountains would be up here facing, this would be Sierra Madre Boulevard, okay, up here. So facing this way. So this is all off the south towards Mariposa.
Gotcha, thank you.
You are welcome. So this is all new space for us, and it includes an elevator and stairs. I'm going to get rid of this pointer. I don't think we need it anymore. So the library currently serves the community in a myriad of different ways. I'm going to move back to my spot. I think this thing is down. All right, so we serve in a myriad of different ways. We have our collections shown here. This is pretty much a lot of it. Our collections includes not just books, but we do have sewing machines, Wi-Fi hotspots, puzzles, board games, DVDs, and our California State Park passes. We're also, due to a grant, we're going to be adding hiking backpack kits. So we have a lot more than just books available here. And we have programs that cover kids, teens, adults, and families. We have weekly programs like our Baby Rhyme Time, Preschool Story Time, and local school class visits. We have monthly programs like our Tales and Tales, Third Thursday Book Club, 3D printing, and we also have one-time programs like our Performers that draw in a lot of families. We also have many services. This includes our online and digital services like Canopy, where you can watch free streaming movies, Libby, which offers free audiobooks and ebooks, and Press Reader, which offers free e-magazines, all online. You can also access Ancestry.com, but only at the library. And we also have our archives, which are in a partnership with the Sierra Madre Historical Preservation Society. So not only does the library keep, collect, and maintain our local history, but we also provide the public access to that local history. Just letting you take a nice long look at that list. So we are providing everything listed and more with this current staff, most of which are part-time. I can assure you we are putting in every effort we can to provide and want to focus more on the community needs. Our last fiscal year, which ran from January 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, we held 392 programs with over 11,000 attendees. And again, that is with just this amount of staff. All that being said, the reason we are here tonight is to hear from you. It's time to open the floor for discussion. I again will ask that you come up to the podium to make sure that the people at home can hear you and I can hear you, and I will be taking notes. The library wants to know about what we are currently providing that the community deems vital, where the library should focus their efforts, what are we doing well, what are services or programs or offerings you would like to see, is there anything previously mentioned that should be expanded? Additionally, we want to know how can the library improve our offerings? Of these items or services or programs you would like us to provide, how can we provide better for this community? Thank you for your time. I'm going to open the floor to your comments, so please step up to the podium whenever you have something you'd like to say.
Hello, so, I'm Peggy Dallas. I live at 312 and a half East Grandview Avenue here in Sierra Madre. The services that this library is offering with the staff and the size are absolutely amazing. And I am in awe of not only the books and digital media, but the other services, programs. I think it's fantastic, and things like, you know, the backpack idea is really inspiring. And so I came here tonight because I thought we were going to review the new building. And
I'm happy to answer any questions you have about the new building. We are still in the planning. We're almost done with the planning portion of that, and we are working on a groundbreaking date.
Okay. Okay, so I guess one of the things, just briefly, that I would have addressed, though, is since you have so many services and the budget's limited for what you can actually build physically for the new building, I guess for future, I'd like to see more outdoor spaces incorporated into the new building eventually, like a big patio off the back where the community room is. That's enclosed and can be like a big outdoor meeting room also, or a workshop space or whatever. And then upstairs, maybe in the front, especially off to the side that's going to be closed now that there's not going to be the side walkway up to the front door, like an outdoor reading room where people can take books or have story times outside safely with books and kids and everything being safe and enclosed. Those would be really nice additions. And so
I will mention that I know I have talked to the architect about the area off the community meeting room on the first floor, and they did mention that that they are going to have tables and chairs and have that be more of a social space. And then we will have the reading balcony off the top upstairs. But yes, this is very good because we are also looking into the green space, the other remaining green space around the
Yeah,
library.
so eventually you could take that spot where the tables and chairs are and actually enclose it when you get the budget for that and have more opportunities, I think. Okay, but one of the things I think I mentioned to somebody earlier is you'd want to put the doors to those spaces in now when you're building the physical building and expand later. And so, okay, keep up the good work. It's great.
Thank you.
Is it okay if I stand from here? I have a,
Yeah, do you want me to try and?
that would be really perfect. 'Cause I can't walk back up. Thank you so much. I think it works this close. I'll try to repeat too.
Okay.
Oh, there it goes. It kind of work goes in and out. Thanks. Thinking this through. I think my number one concern about the library is that it's going to look sterile. And I'm wondering if there's anything you can do to just, I don't know, retain some kind of homey character, retain elements of, maybe keep the same artwork or something to make it look like Sierra Madre. I've been looking at a lot of libraries around the country, and they all look the same. They all have the same elements. And I just would like to try to retain some kind of Sierra Madre's character, if you can, in anything. Maybe in the front of how the building looks, keep the same look, or something like that. I would like to see a sewing class, if you're going to have classes. But the truth is, I'm really not, classes are not a priority to me. I'm just saying if you are going to have classes, I would prefer sewing over yoga, is all I'm saying. And I'm really disappointed when I come through the library and I see that the California room is no longer. I've been here 50 years. And it's upsetting to me when I see things changed, particularly things that have to do with our history. I noticed that the Nancy Walsh's digitized local history board was pulled out too. That concerns me. And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, City Manager Reynoso. I do have some renderings of the inside. That's not what it's going to look like, but I'm happy to pull them up if you'd like to see them.
Do that. I think I can. Bear with me.
So hopefully you can kind of see, this was the idea for the children's room. Again, it also has doors to mitigate some of the sound. And we have I believe if I scroll through these, hopefully they'll scroll through, or not. It does have a nice little story nook as well. Which was important because of how often we have class visits, and we have preschool story time and baby rhyme time every week. This is the downstairs meeting room area. I did learn that the downstairs is going to have much lower ceilings, just due to the nature of the building. So we aren't able to do necessarily a projector screen, but we will have a nice large screen that we can still use. And this is a cross section of the expansion, more or less. So that blue wall that you kind of see in the back, that's our current back wall to the building at 440. So that blue wall is where the building currently ends, and this is kind of showing a cross section of all the expanded spaces.
Is it like we're on Sierra Madre Boulevard looking in?
This would be from Mariposa.
Oh, like we're in the parking lot?
Yeah, like we're in the vacant lot.
Like the mountain should be there in our...
Yeah, the mountain should be behind them.
I hear you.
Yes. And this is of the front, so they are keeping the same line in the front. And this is kind of entrance. Yeah, it's keeping the same lines, really. We're not quite sure what the front's going to look like as far as the green space just yet.
What is green space?
Anything with trees or grass or outside, essentially. And so this would be when you first walk in from Sierra Madre Boulevard, which we're still chatting with as far as a lot of the shelving and things like that go. So none of this is necessarily set in stone. This is just kind of recommendations from the architect.
Can I make a comment? I really love your display that they had when you first walk in on the right
Oh, the display case?
every month. I thought that was a real winner because it was very inviting and it immediately told you what was currently going on.
And
You
we
changed it every month or every
we did change the display case every month.
wonderful.
And we can still, yeah, we can definitely still do that, especially in the in this sort of space where,
That is a real winner.
yeah, I do, and
Kudos to your staff. That is a
oh,
winner.
thank you. We
That is
did
a winner.
want to keep that going, and so this is still we're still working on the interior, but we do have these big poles that you see here that are currently still in the library, and those are structural. So unfortunately, we're gonna have some poles, but so this is the level 0. This would be the south entrance. We're not quite sure what we're going to utilize this bottom space for, which is the entrance to the archives and the community meeting room, essentially. It's kind of a little lobby area for that. And this would be right outside the teen and the children's room. So where the yellow wall is, that's the teen room with doors. We're going to try to have this be more of a study space. We have a print center over here. This little window goes into the children's room. And then once you walk through these doors, there's more stacks here, and then there's 2 entrances into the children's room. That's just off-site. And this is if you came up the stairs. This is the top level if you were to come up from level 0 to the stairs. And we have our elevator, a storage door. We are talking about putting one of our self-checkout machines here, so that you don't have to walk all the way back through the library towards Sierra Madre Boulevard. Oh, and that's the old plans. So that's kind of that's kind of all I have. This is not the newest plans, but it at least kind of shows you a little bit of the layout. So we will have 2 meeting rooms. This is the former California room, but the archives are going to have their own dedicated space where you can actually come in and sit down and look at the local history, and we'll have our archivist able to pull it out. Yes.
What will be in there?
In the archive room?
Yeah.
Right now we don't have any real dedicated space. space except for this this thing that's currently labeled archive storage. So we do plan on getting some compact shelving in there and allowing her to be able to sort. It'll be climate controlled, which we also don't currently have in the basement. And she will have her office there and also a work table for the public. So you could come in, you can either schedule an appointment, or you could come in if she's there and it's open, and you could ask for local history, local records, and she would provide them for you, and you'd be able to sit there and work on them.
So what will be in there will be records of the history of Sierra Madre?
Correct. Records of the history of Sierra Madre will be in the archive section, and it'll be accessible.
What level is the restroom on?
We have the restrooms, we have on both levels. On the level 0, we have 2 family single-use restrooms. And on the level 1, the main level, we're going to have a women's restroom and a men's restroom. So we'll have multiple stalls. So no single occupancy on level 1, but we will have single occupancy on level 0.
And level 0 is below ground or?
It'll be the first floor.
Ground
So
like we walk into the
yeah, well it'll be on the Mariposa side. So where the parking lot is,
Okay.
they're gonna push that out, and that'll be the south entrance.
Will you be able to, if you came through Sierra Madre Boulevard, could you go to a restroom on that level?
Yes,
Yeah.
that'll be these main levels will have a women's and a men's restroom. So this is entering from Sierra Madre Boulevard, and this would be from Mariposa. So there are restrooms on both levels.
So Robert Parkhurst, Grandview Avenue. So going back to the thoughts on what's in the library, a couple of things off the top of my head. We're moving more and more into a digital world. So a couple of questions is, it's great that you've got e-books right now and e-periodicals and things like that. Is there any music? You've got. I also heard you had movies that were streaming, but I didn't hear anything about music. And so that may be something. There may be. So do you have a music service right now that's digital, or not?
Don't necessarily have a music service. I want to say Palace might, but we don't currently have a streaming music service. So that
might be one to consider. So, and just kind of, the general theme in my mind is thinking about the future, what we see coming, what trends we're seeing. So, digital is kind of where everything is going. So how do we embrace the digital part of it while not losing the physical aspects of it, right? I've got 2 teenagers, and despite all of their devices, they still prefer to read books. Actual books, not e-readers, but books. So there's going to be a balance. We're going to have different people needing different things. So music is one. Anything around photos as well. Thinking beyond that, like I don't know, and I apologize that I don't know the answers, but I don't know if there's software for doing photo manipulation, like Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop or things like that, where people can learn those skills to be able to continue to enrich their lives. It's like, to me, it's like the 3D printer, right? Is that if you're going to render something on a 3D printer, it's also like, can I go and work on an image and create art or create materials that way? Along those same lines, if we've got the capability and budget, having computers that people can use, not just like in the library, but even like a laptop loaner, laptop checkout. And I'm thinking something along the lines of a Chromebook. We've got people that may not have access to computers and may want to, if it's possible. I don't know how we structure it, so we have to clearly put thought into it. But a laptop checkout program, so you could use it for a while, get the skills, get some of the things you need if you don't have access to a computer. So there's just a couple thoughts off the top of my head.
Thank you. You want me to bring the microphone? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I know we should just leave it back.
Anyone else needs it?
Is it on? It should be, yeah.
Okay, testing. Okay. My name is Colleen Allen. I live on Grove Street. I've been a resident of Sierra Madre since 1959. I can remember coming to the library in 1960 when I was going to St. Rita's, and it smelled new then. And so I have a long history of attending the library. I wanted to say that I enjoy the adult classes that they've had, the art classes. My daughter was interested in sewing, so was glad to see that. I've worked as a teacher for over 30 years. I'm retired now, but I ran the library, and children's library at Pacific Oaks Children's School. And one of the things
I know, it's, yeah. It, yeah.
Okay.
Yay.
I was saying that I was a teacher at Pacific Oaks Children's School and ran the library. And when I came to the Sierra Madre Library, it bothered me tremendously of the children screaming with games when I was trying to read. And I hope that there is a section. And children got to scream, children got to make noise. Can I just talk louder?
Yeah, that's fine.
I feel the interruption and the disturbance of trying to say what I want to say and start over. It bothered me to see that the children were making so much noise when parts of the library were trying to sit and read, so that I hope there was different things for that. I don't necessarily think that a library is a place for screaming and yelling and running. I don't necessarily think it's for them. I remember earlier on they had police and fire engine, fire coats and stuff like that, and a dramatic play area. And I'm going, why would they do this in a library? You know, if you put out a fire jacket for a child, they're going to go, and so it's not going to be a quiet space. So I hope that they think about that when they put up the new building. That's the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
So we have taken that in consideration. So I believe our architect described it as he created a kind of like a sound, like the front of the library on Sierra Madre Boulevard is more of the quiet area. And then the teen area, as I said, it has a door. It'll be able to be closed. And that's also off to the side by the restrooms. And then the children's room is in the expansion, and it also has 2 doors that can be closed during loud times, but it's also, again, towards Mariposa. So they worked really hard at kind of creating a sound area. So the programs that we do have that are children, they are very popular. So we wanted to be able to accommodate both the need and have quiet spaces where people can read and study, and have places where we can have programs, especially if we have a program, we can use the larger meeting room, which is completely nowhere near any of the books. So so we worked really hard to make sure that we were trying to accommodate everyone's needs.
I also want to comment on this gentleman's remark about real books. There's something about a book in the hand. I remember as a child when I first walked into my library in North Dakota when I was a kid, and I got a Bavar book, and it was like, and it smelled funny, but there was something about the smell of old books or whatever. And a book in the hand is different than a Kindle or an iPad or whatever. It's important to be able to have a book and take it wherever you want, even on the property, just to sit and read and hold it. There's something special about the contact between the reader and a book. I worry about too much digital because I was a big Ray Bradbury fan, and when you don't want a book anymore, it's just delete, and your book is gone. You don't get even out in the forest memorizing it; it's gone. So treasure your old books too. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Kristen, and I live right next to the library, so I love it. It's weird, you guys not being there, but I love it. You also have just an amazing young adult collection, so just major shout out. Main reason I came here was to ask about the tree. I called a little while ago, and the big one right in front on the left side, is that going to be removed?
So unfortunately, there are going to be about 6 trees that are being removed on the total property. The very large oak that is almost touching the building,
Yes.
that one is going to be taken down. It has already caused foundational damage to the library that we're going to have to fix. And we did have an arborist come out and look at it. It is still growing, so it'll continue to grow into the building essentially. It's about a few inches from pushing into the roof, and the root system, they already are going to have to go in and fix the foundation. We have been assured that they're going to take that tree though and make something with it. In the slideshow, they had a donor wall that they had used. In addition to that tree being taken out, the 2 front palms are being taken out for safety. They've just gotten very, very tall, and the fronds during the windstorms are a concern. And because of the expansion off the back, our olive trees, I don't know if anyone has ever known, our olive tree, one that once caught fire a little bit, that tree, those trees are gonna be taken out, and because we are moving our driveway off Mariposa, right now the Mariposa entrance shares a driveway with the apartment complex next door. We're actually gonna move our driveway over so that we're no longer sharing an in and out with the apartment complex, and that's going to require taking out one of the maples down on Mariposa. So that's as far as I know about the trees, but we are going to have to take out that oak, which no one's really excited about. We will be keeping the 2 other oaks that are over the courtyard, but that one unfortunately has already caused structural damage to the foundation, and since it's still growing, it'll continue to. The bigger concern is that we would renovate this building, and then in 5 years we have more foundational damage, and we have a tree trying to take our roof.
Right, and it doesn't fall under like the California protected oak category.
It is I believe it is a coastal live oak, but because of the damage it's causing, they're getting the permission to remove it.
Yeah, and I remember I called the librarian, and I know people also seemed really upset, and there's like 20 species of birds and animals that go in and out of that all the time.
We hear the squirrels.
So, oh yeah, they have names. Yeah, that's such a bummer.
It is, and we are hoping in the future to be able to not only plant some trees, but there's no real good way to do fencing along the west side between the apartment building and where the driveway is, the Sierra Madre Boulevard driveway. The way that the boundary lines are there are really weird, so we're hoping to actually in the future do a green space there and plant more trees and have a natural barrier. So that's what we're trying to mitigate it a little bit, and we're hoping that since we still have the other 2 oaks that we'll be able to move our squirrels, which we do hear a lot.
They're awesome. I love them. Well, thank you. That green space would be amazing. So thank you for clarifying that. And for recommendations, book clubs for like adults, maybe even like the YA section. I know
You're
have a
after
lot
my
of,
own heart.
Yeah,
I
I know you have a lot of fellow nerds in the area, so that would be fun. But I know you have a lot of programs, so thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for talking.
Hi, Kevin Moore. I just wanted to ask, on the green space around the library, is it going to be all native species?
Yes, I believe that's what we were particularly trying to go for. Especially, we currently have a program called the Green Teens at our temporary library, And that program specifically is for California Native, and the teens, we had a master gardener come in and teach the teens how to plant and garden and keep these alive. We have the teen volunteers, they made their own drip system, I want to say, and so they're here over the summer once a week, turning on the drip system. So that was also, I'm saying that simply because that was very concerned with native plants. We pulled out the roses that were there and we replaced them with all native plants, white sage, monkey flower. We even have a monarch butterfly way station now there, and it was such a positive impact on the teens that we want to continue it in the new library space. So we're hoping to continue a teen garden that, now that Peggy mentioned it, I would love to turn the teen garden into also a space where we could do outdoor story time if we wanted to. This is our children's librarian, that's why I'm looking at our youth services librarian.
The people who are building are doing the renovation, they're not going to be responsible for the landscaping, right?
So TSK Architects is going to be doing some of the landscaping. We are asking that they kind of actually do keep it a little bit barren so that we can do something like the teen garden space, or a community garden has been mentioned to us. They're going to basically make the front courtyard that we currently have ADA compatible, because right now it's also not ADA compliant. So they're going to make the front courtyard space ADA compliant, and then ask us what kind of landscaping, how much and how little landscaping they would like us to do. And then depending on how much funding is left, we'd like to put it more towards the green space. We are going to be losing that side garden that we have on the east side where the walking path is. There was no way to make that walking path ADA compliant without about 50 ramps. So we are losing that space. The only side entrance is going to be for the Friends of the Library bookstore, and then there'll be a retaining wall, and that'll be all usable garden space, we're hoping.
The post office was done by a company, I think it was LA Form or something like that.
And Bob
they
Spears. No, just
they did a pretty good job, but they had a lot of volunteers to help them. But so if the library runs out of money, we can always go that direction again.
Yeah.
For the planting native plants, because if you go to the post office, it's actually very nice.
Oh, I agree. I love the post office landscaping, and I think we have a wonderful community that would love to get their hands dirty, so to speak, and have a real stake in how the library looks.
Well, LA Forum, they did a good job designing where things went, because it doesn't look like very many of the plants died. They picked them properly, for the sun and the shade and all that. But anyway.
No, that's all great suggestions. We're looking for ways to really grow, so to speak, at the library.
This is fun talking about all the future stuff and all the good things. I just want to review my understanding of the situation, that the money that's being spent will provide the building and some of the hardscape outside, but it doesn't cover the interior furnishings. Is that right?
Correct. It's not going to cover any furniture, fixtures, and equipment. It will cover carpeting, the hanging or recessed lighting, toilets, sinks, and I believe they're also doing a custom front reference desk. So that's, I believe, the only things that they're really covering. So the rest is on our community.
The community, and the Library Foundation's doing a major fundraising thing?
They will be doing a major fundraising, and the Friends of the Library have given $695,000.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, they took, it was 400,000 was from the Mary Tumulty Fund, which on the slideshow, we had the comic of the really grumpy looking woman in the mountain. Yep, that's Mary T. And the, I know, I have heard stories, that she was really grumpy. But she fought really hard for a new library building and a new or a renovation, and unfortunately she never got to see it come to fruition. So the Friends of the Library started a Mary Tumulty Fund, and from that about $400,000 is being donated towards FF&E, or furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and then $150,000 is from their general fund, and $145,000 is from their partners fund. So we have 600, I believe it's 695,000, and then we also have a day trust that was started in 2021, I want to say, and it was an allocation of 25,000 a year to be used for capital improvement or operational costs. So we have been kind of saving it, so that'll amount to about 100,000, another 100,000. So we're at roughly about 800,000 currently for furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
So how much do you anticipate the library needing for a basic build out, let alone cozy, comfortable Sierra Madre?
I know. One of the features that I'm very set on having at the library, besides a drive-through book drop, which I'm also getting, but besides a drive-through book drop, we have kind of moved at least in my mind, the reading room into between the two, like amongst the windows of the front reading room, and where we have that kind of awkward corner where the magazines and newspapers were, where the newspapers and mysteries were. I'm determined to put in an electric fireplace, so so that we can have a nice, cozy, reading, quiet area that really has that charm. I love fireplaces. We don't really need it, but it's also one of those little touches that I think makes a difference. And not including that can always come later. But we have started. The staff has started getting together those cost points. The most expensive being shelving itself, because we would need to get new shelving. We reused as much as we could of our old shelving, but the wooden shelves that are at the current library are not going to be able to be recycled. They're very warped. They're very splintered. They're original to the 1955 building. There's something, all right. It was a running joke with staff that you the first time you got a splinter shelving books, you truly became a member of the staff. So the biggest expense is going to be the shelving, and including the $800K, we're looking, I think I had it up to about, just to open the doors, about $1.5 million.
So that's total, or the shortfall?
Total. That's total. So
the
we're about halfway there.
Is like 750.
Yeah.
So that's what the foundation's going to be working on.
Yes.
And so we all have to support the foundation, and if you want it cozy, give even more, because
yeah, SierraMadreFoundation.com.
SierraMadreFoundation.com. Look it up. Okay.
And they'll be doing some major fundraising in the next year. We are looking at hiring an interior designer or project management firm in the fall to work alongside with construction to kind of, as everyone knows, as far as ordering anything, there's a big backlog for materials. So we want to make sure that our timeline is tight as far as ordering furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So it might be a little bit of a truncated fundraising effort, but I'm very hopeful that our community will rally.
I hope so. Okay.
Question, and I'm not sure how to word it. But being a senior, towards the end of my life, one of the things that I've noticed when I go to so many public places is this bench, the donated by the so-and-so. I feel like in a couple generations from now, they're going to look back and say, these people had to have their name on everything. It's on bricks where you walk, it's on the walls, it's on the stones. I would hope that people could just give without having their name on something. It's, just start looking. Be aware of it now and start looking at how many things say. I like some of the things because, for instance, Kathy Ryan helped me a lot when I was working as a librarian. And so to see her name on a bench, that's heartwarming to me. But not somebody gave, $500,000 so they had their name on the brick or whatever. I just think it's overdone, and think about the future, not just now. And this is a side comment that relates to the children's classes. I was appalled when I saw bad art tonight. Why would you want a child to do ugly? I always tried to elevate children, bring up the standards, not draw the ugliest picture. So I know it's an agenda because I saw it on the internet. It's all in the libraries all across the United States. So I would hope that maybe you could be selective in what you do. It's good for children. And I don't think bad art is good for children. Thank you.
So I'm just going to reiterate for everyone at home the sentiment that we're hopeful that people will give without needing their names on everything. Am I right on that? Yes. Okay. Just making sure. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Yeah. And while we do have plaques on a lot of different things, and it's even at the library, we did work on a naming rights policy, and so that even those that did previously donate will still be honored in some way. I will say that we're looking at also naming rights currently, and what people could put their names on, based on donation levels. So
There's a place for it.
yes, yeah.
It doesn't have to be over.
Yeah, right. Not so it's donating out of the goodness of your heart rather than to have your name on something. And I will say,
The left hand doesn't know.
right, donating because you want to, and not necessarily for the glory. Yeah, I will say that we are, because the Mary Tumulty Fund is a 400,000 donation, that we are looking at a place to name for Mary Tumulty. So, and she's.
She still was grumpy.
Yep. That's why we were thinking the community meeting room. But, and in addition to that, being selective with our programming, especially for children, to make sure that we are selecting the right programs to elevate our youth. Is that today? Okay. Okay, yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just making sure I'm getting the words right and repeating it correctly. So thank you for sharing.
Welcome.
If we've got no more comments, I will be happy to wrap up this town hall meeting. We will have a second one Saturday, Saturday, June 22nd at 2:00 p.m. again here in the City Council chambers. That one will not be live streamed or recorded. So anyone watching from home, if you also have comments or a discussion you'd like to have, feel free to contact me, Layla Regan, the city librarian, your friendly neighborhood city librarian. My email address is lregan@cityofsierramadre.com, and you can always call the library to reach me. So I'm happy to receive any comments. We would really love to know where we should be focusing our efforts, especially with a new building coming, a renovated building coming our way. We're going to have a lot to handle, and we want to make sure that we're handling it appropriately and to our community standards. So I just want to say thank you all for coming, and we hope to see you at some of the programs that are happening this summer. you will definitely see us out and about. A lot of our programming this year is going to be at Memorial Park and the Hart Park House and the Pavilion, because if you haven't been to the temporary library at 350 West Sierra Madre Boulevard, it is limited on space. But we do hope to see you out and about, and thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us, Warren.
Cute.